A deep quiet surrounds the way a man conveys genuine love, not the romanticized version celebrated in stories or the showy affection displayed through bold acts, but a love that springs from an honest connection with his innermost self. This authentic love, rooted in a man's soul, isn't the kind you'll find in films or self-help books about relationships. Instead, it emerges quietly in the hidden corners of his mind, amid personal struggles and the unspoken exploration of his own consciousness. A man who loves with true depth doesn't seek applause or validation. He loves because he has come to understand his own essence. This narrative invites you to explore what lies beneath the surface, revealing how masculine love takes shape when it's grounded in sincerity, emotional bravery, and the harmonious blending of inner strengths. Get ready to uncover what's often unseen. If you feel that authentic love starts from within, share your thoughts in the comments with "I choose to love consciously." Drawing from Carl Jung's analytical psychology, true love doesn't stem from a feeling of emptiness but from a profound journey of individuation, a process where a person fully embraces their true self by uniting all parts of their psyche. For a man, this authentic love only blossoms when he bravely faces his shadow, recognizes the projections he casts, and makes peace with his inner feminine, known as the anima archetype. What's often mistaken for love is really an unconscious effort to fill an internal gap with someone else. Jung explains that when a man projects his anima onto his partner, expecting her to reflect qualities he hasn't nurtured within himself, his love becomes a fleeting illusion, shaky and weighed down by unrealistic hopes. Genuine love takes root when a man realizes that the feminine qualities he seeks aren't external but reside within him. By integrating these aspects, he can see his partner clearly, unclouded by distorted projections. Furthermore, by accepting his shadow, his fears, vulnerabilities, and suppressed urges, he becomes more complete, enabling him to offer a love that doesn't aim to control or rescue but to connect and grow together. For a man, the path to love is deeply tied to the pursuit of self-awareness. Without this clarity, he risks falling into repetitive patterns, getting caught in idealized fantasies, or mistaking attachment for true love. From a young age, men are taught to seek externally for what they don't understand or haven't cultivated within themselves. Society bombards them with idealized portrayals of love, women, and relationships, shaping an unrealistic and sometimes harmful belief in the male psyche that a partner will make him whole, give his life purpose, or mend his emotional wounds. Jung described this as projection, a psychological process where someone assigns their own unacknowledged traits or desires to another person. When a man meets a woman who stirs powerful emotions, what often unfolds isn't true love but the awakening of an internal image he's projected onto her. He's not truly seeing her but rather a reflection of his unconscious needs, buried desires, and neglected inner qualities. This projection might spark intense fascination at first, but it's fragile. As her true self, complete with flaws, boundaries, and complexities, starts to emerge, the spell breaks, often leaving the man feeling disappointed, distant, or even resentful. This pattern exposes a significant pitfall. A man captivated by his projection believes he's found profound love, but he's actually entangled with an unrecognized part of himself. It's as though he gazes at the woman and sees his redemption, his inspiration, or his fulfillment. But this expectation is unsustainable and unfair to both. When she doesn't align with the idealized vision, she's often unfairly blamed or pushed away as the feelings crumble. The escape from this illusion lies in self-awareness. Jung teaches that by identifying and reclaiming our projections, we pave the way for more genuine connections. This demands courage and humility, turning inward, challenging our fantasies, and owning our emotions. Love built on projection is unsteady, delicate, and conditional, hinging on the other person fulfilling our inner expectations. In contrast, love that flows from seeing someone as they truly are, with their strengths and flaws, is richer, more real, and enduring. It doesn't crave perfection but cherishes presence. It doesn't pursue an unattainable ideal but embraces reality. By understanding the nature of projection, a man takes a vital step toward emotional growth. He begins to see that his partner isn't there to fill his voids but to walk alongside him. In this mutual journey, love becomes not a fleeting fantasy but a deliberate, conscious choice. This journey can sting, as it strips away long-held illusions, exposing raw truths. Yet, it's also freeing, like shedding a heavy weight. When a man stops projecting, he begins to love with sharper clarity and deeper sincerity, seeing his partner through kinder, more human eyes while growing gentler toward himself. This shift lays the groundwork for authentic love, a connection between two complete individuals who neither lose themselves nor blend into one, but stride together, cherishing each other's unique essence. According to Carl Jung, the shadow encompasses all the parts of the psyche that have been pushed down, ignored, or left unacknowledged: impulses, fears, desires, and vulnerabilities the ego rejects. For men, this shadow often hides emotional depths tied to vulnerability, which are essential for the ability to love fully. From boyhood, society teaches that showing fear, sadness, or insecurity signals weakness, prompting men to construct an emotional shield to face the world. But this barrier not only separates them from others, it distances them from their own hearts. True love, though, requires dismantling this armor. To love with intention and depth, a man must confront what he's been taught to conceal: his tenderness, his pain, and his yearning for genuine connection. He must face his emotional shadow, embrace it as a vital part of his wholeness, and recognize its power to shape him. Yet, most men aren't guided to view their emotions as pathways to self-discovery. Instead, they're urged to suppress, mock, or dismiss their feelings, creating a wrenching inner conflict. The heartfelt longing to love and be loved clashes with the dread of vulnerability, rejection, or judgment. As a result, many men opt for a safer, surface-level love, controlled and cautious, never fully opening their hearts or taking emotional risks. This shields them from hurt, but also blocks the richness of love in its truest form. By courageously facing his shadow, a man discovers that emotional pain isn't a flaw but a doorway to deeper understanding. He learns that hiding vulnerability also shuts out the chance for authentic love, and his ability to nurture a mature relationship hinges on his willingness to navigate tough emotions. Often, the fear of loving deeply stems from old scars, childhood wounds, abandonment, rejection, or shame. Left unhealed, these traumas linger in the unconscious, quietly steering behavior and undermining relationships. Bringing them into the light allows a man to reinterpret these experiences, reshaping how he loves. This is the essence of shadow integration, looking inward with honesty, embracing fragile pieces, and letting them strengthen more authentic connections. The shadow also harbors darker tendencies: aggression, jealousy, possessiveness, or manipulation, that, if ignored, can unravel the very bonds a man hopes to build. Integrating the shadow doesn't excuse harmful actions but sheds light on their origins, enabling transformation. When a man owns his shadow, he stops casting it onto his partner, the world, or external circumstances, stepping onto the path of true authenticity. Loving with vulnerability doesn't mean reckless openness but allowing oneself to be fully seen, with both strengths and flaws. It's about expressing fear without seeking rescue, sharing pain without wallowing, and offering love without demanding assurances. This kind of love can feel daunting because it surrenders control, but it unlocks something far greater, a real, meaningful connection. The shadow isn't love's adversary, it's its foundation. A man only loves deeply when he also embraces his own darkness, welcoming his wounded parts and letting them join in the meeting with another. This is the healing power of love, born from the bravery to be whole. At the core of Jungian psychology lies the anima, the archetype of a man's inner feminine. She isn't a literal woman but a symbolic image in his unconscious, shaping how he relates to the feminine within himself and in the world. When a man is disconnected from his anima, he searches outside himself for what he can't find within his own soul, leading to misalignment. This often causes him to idealize women, lose himself in fleeting passions, or feel disillusioned when reality doesn't match his inner vision. Integrating the anima is one of the most profound tasks of individuation. Jung taught that as a man matures and turns inward, he's called to recognize this feminine presence in his psyche, intuitive, sensitive, receptive, and creative. She serves as a bridge between his conscious masculine ego and the deeper unconscious. Neglecting her creates imbalance, while embracing her opens the way to a more mindful, compassionate love. Throughout life, a man encounters various expressions of his anima, often through women who stir deep, mysterious emotions, awakening feelings he struggles to comprehend. Though these moments seem to unfold with someone outside, they are really inner calls to grow and evolve. When a man casts his anima onto a partner, he's convinced he's met the flawless woman, the one who truly gets him, completes him, and sparks his inspiration. In reality, he's gazing at a reflection of his own unconscious image mirrored back. The true task isn't to find a perfect partner but to understand that this idealization stems from an inner part of himself he hasn't yet nurtured. Making this shift unburdens his partner from carrying symbolic weight, allowing him to see her as a real person, someone navigating her own path, with both strengths and flaws. This awakening can hurt, as it shatters illusions, but it's vital for love to evolve from fantasy into a genuine connection. The anima also holds the keys to emotions, empathy, and sensitivity, qualities that rigid, controlling notions of masculinity often push men to bury. Reconnecting with these inner facets opens fresh ways to relate, express, and love. Embracing his emotions doesn't weaken a man, it makes him whole. Tuning into his inner emotional world isn't a danger but a wellspring of authentic strength. Engaging with the anima also ignites creativity and a spiritual spark, which Jung saw as a bridge linking the conscious mind to the deeper unconscious, inviting a man to explore his hidden depths. By acknowledging and valuing this inner presence, he becomes better equipped to love not just another person but life itself, with all its complexities and imperfections. When the anima is integrated, she becomes a powerful ally in forming real, meaningful bonds. She empowers a man to approach a woman without projecting, without expecting her to rescue or fulfill him. He learns to honor her individuality, listen with greater depth, and embrace his own emotions without fear. This transformed way of loving flows from presence, not need. It seeks connection, not merging. Discovering the anima takes time, quiet reflection, and courage. She doesn't reveal herself in a rush or under pressure. She waits for a man to turn inward with sincerity. When that moment arrives, everything shifts. Love stops being a frantic quest and becomes a natural expression of his authentic self. Loving with awareness is the result of a profound inner journey, not just about choosing to love another but about undergoing a deep process of self-discovery. Carl Jung teaches that the ability to love truly emerges from individuation, the path to becoming a whole person by uniting the opposites within the psyche. For a man, this means blending logic with emotion, strength with vulnerability, shadow with light, and his inner masculine with his inner feminine. Individuation isn't a finish line but a lifelong journey. As a man moves forward, he sheds societal masks, inherited roles, and unconscious projections. He no longer loves to impress, to feel needed, or to escape loneliness. He loves because he has something real to share, his own completeness. At this stage, love ceases to be a way to survive and becomes a state of being, a space for mutual growth and creation. A man who has walked this road knows that loving isn't about erasing or controlling another but about holding on to his own identity, even in the closest of bonds. He learns to listen without losing himself, to welcome without overwhelming, and to express without overstepping. He understands that conscious love requires maturity, and maturity doesn't mean a life free of conflict but the ability to face it with honesty and respect. This emotional clarity comes from integrating the psyche's many parts, especially the shadow and anima. It's this integration that allows a man to love without fear, dependency, or illusion. When a man embraces his own complexity, he stops expecting someone else to fill his inner gaps. He tends to those spaces with care and compassion, knowing that true love isn't a bandage for unhealed wounds. By nurturing himself, he creates the capacity to nurture another. The relationship becomes a space for shared growth, not a rescue mission. His partner is no longer an emotional crutch, but a companion on the journey. Conscious love also lets go of idealized visions. A man who has journeyed through individuation loves a real person, complete with imperfections, fears, and contradictions. He doesn't demand flawlessness, just presence. He doesn't expect his partner to fulfill every desire but remains open to discovering who they truly are. This openness fosters deeper, stronger, and more honest connections. Moreover, conscious love respects cycles, boundaries, and change. It recognizes that love isn't fixed, it evolves and needs ongoing care, attention, and renewal. A conscious man knows love can be joyful yet demands effort, sweet yet challenging, and above all, a reflection of his relationship with himself. This kind of love isn't learned from manuals or handed down through family traditions. It's earned through a deep dive into the unconscious. A man who loves consciously has faced tears, stumbles, and moments of feeling lost. But crucially, he chose to rise, to know himself, and to grow. That choice transforms how he connects with the world and others. He no longer searches for someone to make him whole. He seeks a partner to share the wholeness he's cultivated. Conscious love is the peak of this inner journey, not an endpoint but a fresh start. It's a love born not from fear of solitude but from the richness of being oneself. It doesn't need eternal vows because it renews itself in the truth of the present moment. Its roots grow deep, yet its spirit flies free. To love truly is an act of inner bravery, a deliberate choice to confront projections, explore the shadow, embrace the inner feminine, and navigate individuation with honesty. A man who reaches this point doesn't love to complete himself but because he knows his own wholeness. His love isn't driven by fear but by presence, not shaped by expectations but grounded in reality. He loves because he has found himself, and his way of loving becomes a force that embraces, supports, and liberates. This journey, as we've explored, is quiet, profound, and often solitary, but it's also the most fulfilling path a man can take. By becoming aware of himself, he builds the capacity for relationships that are more authentic, compassionate, and true. If this reflection struck a chord, consider subscribing and tapping the bell to stay connected with content that inspires real growth. Check out the next video on your screen to dive even deeper into your inner journey. Always remember, true love begins with the most intimate encounter of all, the meeting with your own soul.